deep breath, Mike White said. So they converted an all-purpose room in the basement to create a makeshift bedroom for Walsh, and they spent the next few days together trying to process what had just happened and figure out where Walsh could go from there. Walsh didn't know where he would turn next. The one thing he did know was that he could never go back to Cincinnati. Dave Butts came off the practice field and was headed toward the Washington Redskins locker room when Joe Gibbs walked over to him for a private chat. This was early in the 1981 season when Gibbs was a rookie NFL head coach, still in search of his first win, and Butts, a 31-year-old veteran defensive tackle and a holdover from former coach George Allen's over-the-hill gang, was uncertain about the direction of the team. The losing streak would eventually grow to 5 straight games to start the year, and Gibbs was tormented over his team's slow start. Gibbs was concerned that team owner Jack Kent Cooke, a notoriously demanding personality, was growing impatient to the point of making a change. Cooke had taken a chance on Gibbs, formerly an obscure 40-year-old offensive coordinator from the San Diego Chargers who'd run Don Coryell's wide-open passing offense known as Air Coryell. Yes, Gibbs feared he'd become the first coach in NFL history to be fired without ever winning a game. Gibbs had installed Coryell's offense when he got to the Redskins, figuring he could out-scheme his rivals in the NFC East, a division known for its reliance on the running game as the central focus on offense and imposing size and power on defense. The Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles were the class of the division at the time, with Tom Landry in his late prime as the Cowboys coach and Dick Vermeil coming off the Eagles' first Super Bowl appearance the previous January. The New York Giants were beginning to emerge from the worst period in franchise history under disciplinarian coach Ray Perkins, and the St. Louis Cardinals had a dynamic young running back named Otis Anderson. Gibbs's first 4 games were against divisional opponents, and he lost every single one of them. 26-10 to the Cowboys, 17-7 to the Giants, 40-30 to the Cardinals, and 36-13 to the Eagles. It was no better in his 5th game, as Bill Walsh's San Francisco 49ers, in the early stages of their first Super Bowl championship run, beat the Redskins 30-17 at RFK Stadium. Concerned that some of his most important veteran players like Butts might check out and lose faith in their first-year coach, Gibbs offered words of reassurance. We had lost a whole bunch of games, and Gibbs came out to me and said, "Dave, we are so close. I don't want you to give up and get demoralized. We are so close to doing great things. I want you to keep trying. We are on the edge of doing great things." Butts nodded and thanked Gibbs for the encouragement, unsure whether Gibbs truly knew what he was talking about or whether the losing would continue and Gibbs's time in Washington would indeed be short-lived. Butts didn't know it at the time, nor did any of Gibbs's other players. But the coach was about to go against every conviction and every principle he'd ever learned, not knowing if it would work, but convinced he had no other alternative. The consensus was unanimous. Bill Parcells had to go. The Giants were staggering to a 3-12-1 finish in Parcells' first year as the Giants' head coach, and memories of the darkest years of the franchise were haunting the Mara family. Team president Wellington Mara had presided over the lost years of 1964 through 1978, when the Giants had gone from a consistent championship-contending team to a franchise besmirched by failure. Rock bottom had come on November 19, 1978, when the Giants were seemingly headed toward victory over the Eagles at Giants Stadium, and simply had to run out the clock in the final seconds against an Eagles team with no timeouts remaining. But rather than having quarterback Joe Pisarcik do the sensible thing and take a knee, offensive coordinator Bob Gibson inexplicably called for a handoff to Larry Csonka. The ball caromed off Zonka's right hip and was scooped up by Eagles defensive back Herman Edwards, who returned it for a 26-yard touchdown to give Philadelphia a 19-17 win. Gibson was fired the next day, and during the Giants' next home game,